Today we've put together a film on how to achieve a Kim Kardashian meets Victoria Beckham smoky eye vibe. I want to show you how the everyday woman can achieve a look as similar to theirs. So this is the look we're going to achieve, starting from the eyebrows, the eyes, the skin, the blush and then the lips. Keep watching. As you've already seen me with a full face of slap on, I thought it'd be best to show you just how easy it is to achieve a smoky eye like Kim Kardashian and Victoria Beckham do, using my techniques with my brushes. Right, so now I'm going to show you how to do your brows. I think brows are really important in lifting the face, and particularly when you're going to do a heavy smoky eye like the one I'm wearing at the moment. It just balances everything out and makes it look really beautiful. As my first step, I'm going to fill in my brow using a stiff brush that's angled. The purpose of the stiffness to it means it's much easier to distribute the powder that I'm going to use, as there's nothing worse than not being able to get your brow looking really sharp and tidy. When I do a brow, I really like it to look really sharp but very subtle at the same time. So what I do is I tend to start here, just at the bottom, and gently brush the powder through and up into the hair. I don't like the eyebrow to look really drawn on. I don't think it's particularly flattering, and it looks too fake as well. It doesn't look elegant. So just take it through into the arch. Have a look. Does it look balanced? Need a bit more in here. Also remember, with your eyebrows, they're sisters, they're not twins. They don't have to be exactly the same, because each side of your face is very different and nobody's perfectly symmetrical. So don't try and match them up. Just work with what you've got. As long as it looks tidy and it looks natural, then I'm happy with that. Right, so next I'm going to apply my eyeshadow. I'm going to blend it right into the socket and gently follow the brow line, just so I can get a really lovely shape that flows beautifully with the eyebrow I've just drawn. This brush is really soft, and it's lovely to apply it right into the creases of the eye like that. I've actually got quite fleshy eyes, so it's trickier to apply makeup when you've got a bit more skin than what other people have. But with a good brush, anything's possible. Move your face around as well when you're looking into the mirror, so you can get really good coverage of your skin, so the makeup looks flawless. You can get the brush right in there, just by turning it a bit. Because this brush is tapered, it fits really well into all the crevices. And bring it out a little bit, so it blends and follows the line here. You see where the brow meets, and if you look straight, it should be balancing up. It doesn't matter if it's a bit messy, because it can all be blended, but as long as the shape is pretty much correct, which it is, it's starting to look better. So next I'm going to apply the eyeliner. I'm using a black powder and an angled brush to do this. It's easier to rest your hand as you do it on something like a hard surface, because then you can get a much better finish and you get more control, because it is quite tricky applying eyeliner like this. But if you watch, I've started on the outside for a reason. As I was saying, my eyes are quite hoodie, and it's better to have more on the outside than it is on the inside, because otherwise I can end up making them look really small, which I don't want to do. Try to get it as close into the inside of the eyeline as possible, otherwise it does look messy. And there's nothing worse than seeing a bit of your skin after the lash and then the line. Remember, it can all be softened afterwards, but it's just getting it in the right place. So now, using a cotton bud, I'm just going to soften this little bit here so it's not so liney. So next I'm going to curl my eyelashes. Can't live without an eyelash curler, and I don't know many girls that can either, so make sure you have one. So when you're curling your eyelashes, make sure you curl them before you do your mascara, because if you curl them after you've applied it and it's still a bit sticky, you risk basically tearing out quite a few of your eyelashes. Okay, and now for the mascara. This is a brown black, and I'm using a brown black because I'm quite fair, and I find that mascaras aren't so jet black on somebody with my kind of complexion. It's just softer, especially when you're in your 30s and you're pregnant like I am. Next I'm going to apply the foundation. This part's really important actually. The skin's got to look really good when you're doing a smoky eye. It lifts everything and makes it all look really, really sharp. I tend to do the eye makeup first to avoid getting a mess under the eye. There's nothing worse than putting your foundation on and then having a load of pigment all mixed in underneath the eye part. It's just a nightmare to clean it all up and start again. It saves time doing it this way. When I apply foundation, I tend to start where the problem areas are. So for me, it's underneath the eye, around the nose, and gradually I blend it outwards onto the cheeks. I have a little bit of pigmentation from my pregnancy and from a bit of sun damage over the years, so it's important to cover that up to give my skin a really flawless and glowing complexion. Now I'm just going to buff the foundation into the skin using this brush. This is a really good brush because it's got really fine hair on it and it helps to really buff it into the skin beautifully. It stops it looking creasy and it makes it look like another layer of skin as opposed to a really thick layer of foundation. So just using circular movements like this. Every makeup artist has one of these brushes and it really softens, and it also moves some of the foundation that you've already got in your face and allows you to apply it elsewhere so you don't waste any product. It's important to have a good brush for your foundation because there's nothing worse than having those horrible lines that you sort of see when you get out in broad daylight. If you use a brush like this, it just really helps to smooth it all down. Just need to add a bit more there. That's where the pigmentation is. I don't mind a bit of it showing through. It's part of my face, you know, but I don't want to look really heavily made up, so I'm not going to go over the top with trying to cover it either. And I tend to use two different foundation colours, the lighter one and a darker one. So basically that means that when I go away on holiday, I've always got a dark base that's going to work on my skin tone. I use a lighter one as well for the winter months, and also to use as a kind of concealer and highlighter. So I use it underneath my eye and around areas that I want to lift, which I'm about to show you. Using my concealer brush, I've put a bit of the lighter colour onto it, so I'm going to apply it underneath my eyes and just around my nose. I've actually chosen the slightly thicker foundation. This is because it's got better coverage and it will hide more of the bad areas that I want to conceal. The darker one is slightly sheerer and it dilutes the thickness of the light base that I've got, enabling it to be more sheer and more natural. This should now look a lot more even. As you can see, I've lifted my eye slightly by putting the lighter foundation underneath it and all around the nose area, around here, around here. Now I've just got to cover up this little bugger. And now I'm going to just powder a little bit under the eye as I'm about to do the last part of the eye, which is just eyelining it a little bit. So I don't want any of the pigment to meet the foundation really, otherwise it's all going to go panda eye like, which isn't a very good look. So I'm just placing a bit of light reflective powder onto my mini powder brush. This is really good for dispersing the powder really, really accurately, so you don't end up looking like you've got too much on.
No.
I'm just going right there. You can see. I'm just taking it down a little bit around here. Powder's a bit of a funny product because a lot of people are quite scared of using it, but if it's really good quality powder, which this one is, and it reflects the light, it will lift the face. So if you're having your photograph taken, you'll look really, really flawless, and that's often why all these celebrities look so immaculate, because they've got really clever products. The next step, I'm just going to line the eye with a bit of powder that I used on the top lid, but using a precision brush to do so. So I just want to get it as close to the lashes as possible. Don't worry about even going onto the line of the eye. It might feel a little bit dusty. Okay, Okay, and next for the eyeliner. Now get as much of this stuff in as possible. I'm using a black kohl just to really strengthen the eye. Now, I like it going up here. Again, rest your elbow so you've got complete control over it. Also remember to blink, because if you try and do it without blinking, your eyes will just water in the end. You can even do this bit first and then do the base after if you want to. So now I'm going to apply a bit of mascara onto the bottom lashes. I'm going to basically apply it right into the lash root just to give it some really punchy definition without trying to drag it out too far. Otherwise, if your bottom lashes are covered in mascara, it basically just pulls the eye down and it's not very flattering at all. Due to my pregnancy, I've bloated out a little bit. I miss my cheekbones very much. So using a contouring brush, I'm just going to apply a little bit of bronzer into where my cheekbones once were to recreate them. So this brush is great because it's angled and it can get right into where I need it to be, just like this. So if I give myself a very strange smile, I can just about see where they were. I'm going to put them back. Once you get that line, take it right into the hairline. In fact, you know, get the ears a bit brown so that your ears don't look all white. That's looking better. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of shimmer on my cheeks, just to put a bit of colour in with my blusher brush. So just have a little smile onto the apple. There's plenty of apple there. And just bring it up a little bit onto the top part of the cheekbone. And there we go. It's much more even now. Okay. Now for the lip liner. I'm just going to use a colour that's just a tiny little bit darker than my natural lip colour, just to give it a bit more depth, but I don't want to detract from the smoky eyes that I've done. I want to keep the lips really nude, but still visible, so that it all looks really nice. Now I've applied my lip liner, I'm just going to apply a little bit of lipstick using my concealer brush, which is double-ended like this. This is really handy because it can be used to get really into the little places as concealer, but I've also doubled it up so you can use it as a lip brush too. This is slightly larger than most lip brushes, but the reason being is that it just covers it quicker. There's nothing worse than a really tiny lip brush. It's incredibly fiddly, and from a professional point of view, it's something that I really hate to work with. So I've kept the brush big just to be quick. So there we have it. Just shows you how blending and the right brushes really help to get your makeup on quickly and effectively without too much mess. Thank you for watching. I'm Katie Reedman from honestmakeup.com, and I'll be back very soon with some more tricks of the trade and more blending techniques to keep you busy for the next year.